Hi guys, welcome to my coffee show. My name is Jack and today we're playing with DF64. Yeah, I still have a DF64. It's actually in front of me so you don't see it in the background. There is no space for DF64 there anymore. If you think about the niche as kind of like a first widely available single dose grinder, I think about DF64 as a grinder that really revolutionized the scene of a single dose home grinders. Why? Well, first of all, accessibility. It's cheaper than the rest of the grinders with similar size of the burrs, and what you get for it's really good. Obviously you have to, especially with those first few versions, you have to play with certain things, like I had to get some 3D printed parts just to improve the grinder, but overall it's very good. And what makes this good grinder a great grinder? Well, there are those 64mm burrs. Why? Because you can choose from so many different burrs, and each burr set gives you slightly different flavors. So one grinder can offer you a choice of so many different flavors. One grinder can give you a lot. And one of the most well-known and respected producer of burrs is SSP from Korea, and they have a wide choice of burrs for 64mm grinders. Today we're going to compare 3 different burr sets. We will play with those cast burrs. We will put them against Itamill burrs, the standard burrs that the DF64 comes with. And the last one, we put it against those, the shiny ones. Those are one of the most beautiful burrs, MP burrs, multi-purpose burrs from SSP. But why within those 64mm burrs there are such a big differences? Well, it's a geometry of the burrs. So each burr cut those bins differently, produces different amount of fines, and also the shape of the particles is slightly different. So when you extract either by pour over or espresso, the water penetrates it differently, and that creates a different flavor profile. So if I put all 3 of them next to each other, you will see how different that cutting surface is. We can talk and talk. There are people writing essays about the particle distributions and so on. I prefer to just drink coffee, especially that my body is craving caffeine right now. We're going to compare espresso and a pour over, and by the end I will tell you what I think about those 3 burr sets and which I would recommend. So if you're as excited as myself, definitely click like, subscribe, and well, let's do it. So let's start with cast burrs. We're going to pull espresso first. I will use La Marzocco Oliva style profile on decent VST basket this time. As a coffee we're going to use a DAC coffee roasters, one of my favorite coffee roasters. This one is a naturally processed coffee from Ethiopia. Took 40 seconds. I'm aiming for those longer extractions today. Cheers. Body thin to the point of being watery. What I'm getting here, green apples. On the back they say strawberry, white chocolate and cream. No, green apples, some sweetness and some chocolatey flavors in the background. I don't mind to pay the price of thin body if I get uber clarity, but it is not a fair trade here. The clarity, possibly, we will see how the other burrs taste, but you've got some clear notes. I mean, this is my first shot of the day, and usually the first shot of the day is tasty because my body is craving for coffee. I would say this is acceptable. It's probably one of the better shots I got from those cast burrs. So now the pour over. Roots coffee roasters from Oxford. This particular coffee is from Ecuador, and we will use the rock brewer. If you don't know the rock brewer, I have a video about it. I put the links in the description. Minutes and 15 seconds on the setting 37. The coffee bed slightly muddy still after what, 6 kg of seasoning. Anyway, cheers. Well, I'm getting some like a tea-like flavors here. A little bit of sweetness. Nothing awesome, but nothing bad either. It's a coffee that I probably would enjoy drinking. No unpleasant flavors, nothing too harsh, nothing too sour, nothing too bitter. Apples, yes. Apricot, not really. Bergamot, definitely not. Some like a toasted flavors in the background. A little bit of that kind of a smokiness. I would say to me it tastes like an apple that you would roast in the oven or on the fire. Not bad by itself. I like clear, crisp flavors in my pour over, and I'm definitely getting it here. Okay, so now time for the standard Itamill burrs. I've been so happy with them for so long. Let's see if they are as good as I remember them. As you can see, the grind chamber messy, dirty, and have a look how much of that coffee gets under the burrs. So that put in question the whole point of shimming the burrs, because if the grinds are getting underneath, what's the point? It would still affect the alignment of the burrs eventually. I know that the new versions, they have that rubber O-ring that prevents the grinds getting under. I haven't spent hours aligning them, just here and there, just so they're not completely off. By the way, something that I would strongly recommend to have when you change the burrs, if I remember, I will put the links in the description. If not, they call it a vice grip. Let's do the espresso. More crema than with the previous one. The extraction, well, you will be able to tell me, but I think the extraction looks better as well. On my second attempt, I managed to get to 40 seconds precisely, so it looks like I'm getting better and better at that. I'm on the setting number 9. Cheers. I'm getting a little bit more body, and because of the body, there also the texture is slightly different. It's more silky texture. If the previous one was green apple, this one more like a sweeter apple, maybe even those strawberries, slightly better this shot. Because of the texture, because of that extra layer of fruitiness, it's not massively better. If I was doing blind tasting, I cannot say I would choose this one for sure, but if you think about the price, those are the standard burrs, the other ones are cast burrs. What, 160, 180 pounds? Now the pour over time. Cheers. The same flavor notes as the first cup. I said that the first cup I would like a little bit more flavors. Here flavors are even lower. Not bad, the same, is just quieter. In the first cup I would like to put the volume up by maybe 10%. Here I would have to put the volume up by maybe 30%. Quiet, I can get them. There is that toasted kind of apple something there. It's just not as obvious as in the first cup. Not bad, but the first one was better. Let's change those burrs. And look at the mess underneath, and that's just after 2 shots of espresso and I think 2 attempts of pour over. The burrs are in, let's pull another espresso. "37 seconds, so the fastest is, you could see that the extraction wasn't perfect. I was struggling a little bit. It took the longest to dial it in. Cheers. There was definitely a difference. The notes are so much sharper. Can I detect the strawberries? There was that nice kind of a sweetness in the second shot. Here it's more of the sour side. The interesting thing is you sip and those notes hit you immediately. If that's what you are looking for, if you are looking for that nice clarity, not painful clarity, but pleasant clarity, pleasant opening of the notes, those are the burrs for you. Now, we lost that chocolatiness. The first one was tiny bit of chocolatiness, the second one was a little bit more. Here, no chocolatiness whatsoever. This one went more towards the fruits. Let's do the pour over now. 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Cheers. I have to say I like this the most. There was a nice crispiness in the first one, but here there is that nice sour, crispy, but also sweetness. Another layer of flavors. I like sour notes in a pour-over. Obviously there's a good sour and a bad sour, but this is definitely a good sour. We lost that kind of a toasted, smoky flavors that I got from the previous 2 cups. Here we're getting fruitiness. I cannot distinguish really what kind of fruits. Apples, let's say apples. But there is definitely vibrancy, interesting flavors. Guys, here we have it. My tests are complete. I'm definitely over caffeinated. So my final conclusions, the cast burrs, I don't really understand cast burrs. For espresso they are tricky to dial in and the results are average. Painfully thin body and the clarity that isn't that clear. I thought the cast burrs will win for the pour over, but maybe with this coffee with those particular flavor notes, but I like the pour over from those MP burrs the most. Itamill burrs are good overall burrs, and the The important thing is that they are the easiest to dial in, especially if you're the beginner. Just stick with those Itamill burrs, then you may think about upgrading. The flavor notes that you are getting for is a pour over, slightly muted but still okay, and an espresso that is not bad. So you get a nice body as well, and the fruitiness. And now those MP burrs. Espresso and the pour over both were better than the other burrs here. Espresso was slightly better, maybe I have to play a bit longer with the alignment of the burrs. I pulled few shots and they were all channeling slightly more. Maybe it's my fault for not doing WDT long enough. The espresso was tricky to dial in with those burrs, and it also takes longest to grind, I don't know why. But the results, you got nice clarity, nice sharp flavors. The body not as bad as the cast burrs, but not as good as with the Itamill burrs. Those burrs allows you to look for those nuances, look for specific flavor notes. And the pour over, very interesting, vibrant, full of fruitiness. Guys, if you have any of those burrs, let me know how do you like them. If you compare a few different burr sets, let me know what do you think about them. I don't have a high uniformity burrs. If anybody wants to send it to me, yes please. If not, then you can describe me how those high uniformity burrs stands against those other burrs. At some point I want to compare DF64 with Flat Max. Yes, I have a Flat Max, have a look, yes. Once someone get a Flat Max, they will use every opportunity to brag about it. Plenty more things coming, but for today, thank you very much for watching. My name is Jack, this is my coffee show. Hopefully I will see you soon. Thank you, bye!